Recording is started.
Welcome everybody to this amazing health professional business success call. Dr. Bob, you might need to mute yourself. Welcome to this health professional success business call. And I want everybody to be prepared to take notes and listen vigorously for the next 30 minutes, because I've actually just spoken before this recording is being made right now to both of these gentlemen. And I'm going to be sitting with pen and paper, fully focused, because you do not want to miss a thing that they're going to say. The two gentlemen that are going to be speaking this evening are literally sought after all over the world by some of the most famous athletes and doctors in the world for their advice on health professional success, on nutrition, on their expertise in their fields, and so many different things that they're experts at. But tonight for free, we actually get to listen to what they have to share on two different topics. Okay, if you're watching live or recording, this is relevant to you. Number one, if you are a health professional, or maybe you know someone that is a health professional, why would they actually want to do this? Okay, and the second question that we're going to answer on the call this evening is, if you know a health professional that could benefit from this product or business, how do we actually properly share this information with them? So I'm about to move out of the way here in a second, but I'd like to introduce both of the gentlemen that are going to be speaking on the call this evening. Dr. Bob Rakowski is actually going to be interviewing Dr. Sachin Patel. A little bit about Dr. Bob. He's actually my father. He's been teaching doctors functional medicine, nutrition, been seeing Olympians, been seeing all the way to the other end of the spectrum to critically ill patients that literally come to him as a last resort. And many of those people walk out of his clinic and have several extra years of life, or maybe they completely defeat, what they came in for, and they're able to live a happy life and enjoy their life with their family. And he's been teaching, like I said, doctors and functional medicine all over the world for nearly 3 decades. And he's definitely an expert at everything that he teaches on. Dr. Sachin Patel is somebody that I've just gotten the privilege of meeting, but I would say he is the new era of amazing, tapped in health professionals reaching the masses with a ton of cutting edge new information that a lot of people have not heard, as well as using systems of technology to reach audiences and amounts of people that people in generations previous to him might have had the knowledge to teach or help, but they didn't have the systems or the broadband or the width to actually get to them. And Mr. Sachin Patel has built a gigantic following and a gigantic mentorship group of thousands of doctors that come to him for advice, and people all over the world that seek out his advice for nutrition, functional medicine, and so many different things. And he is also going to be sharing his expertise alongside Dr. Bob on why they both chose to get started in this business and why this has now become their top product that they go to help all different backgrounds of people all over the planet. So a long introduction, but without further ado, I'm going to head and move right out of the way to two giants that are going to be sharing their expertise on the call this evening. Dr. Bob and Dr. Sachin, go ahead and take it away.
All right. One, thanks always for that great introduction. I have been somewhat of a follower of Sachin Patel's for a period of time. And then we actually just met this last year. And his reputation was stellar, but his performance in person, he crushes it, and he actually gets better every time I talk to him. So I really like to be quiet when I'm in his presence, because I want to listen, because he is so good at paradigm expanding, including literally just a conversation we had a half hour ago. He just gave me more light on why these products work so fast in so many people. But I'm gonna ask a simple question and then let you just do what you do, which is just share magic wisdom. But we have a lot of practitioners that say, you know what, my reputation's on the line. Why would I sell coffee? Why would I sell hot chocolate? And you had a great answer to that. So I'm going to step back. Are they risking their reputation?
Absolutely not. And I just want to say thank you, Jacob, and thank you, Dr. Bob, for the lovely introduction. I should just have you guys follow me around everywhere I go, because my love language is words of affirmation. So it's always nice to hear some positive feedback and to have that reinforcement that we're doing good in the world. And thank you for blessing me with another tool to help even more people as a functional medicine practitioner, as a coach, but also as a father and, you know, a civilian, we now have a tool that we can use to help so many more people. So to answer your question about reputation, you know, one of the things I think about is not what will people say if I offer something that can help them, but I say to myself, what will people say if I had a tool that could have helped them and I didn't, and they suffered because of it? So for me, it's my reputation is on the line when I don't help somebody with a tool that I can have to help somebody with. Like if somebody is drowning in a pool, you know, your responsibility is to jump in and save them if you know how to swim. And so that's the way I look at it. You know, people are drowning these days with bad health, with toxins, with, you know, a nervous system that's just wired for stress. And we have a tool that can help them very easily unravel that. And we're just taking something that's habitual and now turning it into a ceremonial ritual and upgrading their life in so many different ways. And, you know, I was telling my wife just before I came down here, I'm like, I don't know if this is appropriate, but I feel like that when I give somebody a sachet of Organo King coffee, I feel like I'm giving them functional medicine in a sachet because there's so many widespread benefits of the Ganoderma. There's an inherent intelligence, there's an embodiment of intelligence in that Ganoderma mushroom, which many of us take for granted. And we're seeing and witnessing in our practice and witnessing amongst our friends some amazing transformation that takes place. So I look at this as a responsibility. Forget about my reputation. I look at this as a responsibility. And I wonder to myself, what will people think if I had a tool that could have helped them and they were drowning in the pool and I turned my back on them because I was worried about what they would think about me? I'm worried about what they would think if I didn't save them from drowning in that pool. Bob, you're muted.
Thank you for catching that.
There we go.
You invited me to segue into that deeper conversation, and you literally used the term software update. And so I have been a big fan of loading doses of nutrients for a long, long time because it takes time to change the tissue level to create an impact. But you had a really tuned in, insightful answer as to why that's not the case with this. Why do people get such fast response?
Yeah, so there's two things that we talk about when we talk about reishi at a professional level and even at the layman's level, because people understand it. You know, there's two components to your computer. There's a hardware, which is the keyboard and the microchips and the hard drive and the screen and all those other things that we can physically touch. But then there's and measure, right? So I can measure how big my screen is. I can measure the keyboard. I can count how many keys I have. So that's hardware. So just like reishi and other nutrients and other foods, we can measure the hardware. We can measure the proteins, the carbohydrates, the fats, the vitamins, the minerals, the phytonutrients. Those are things that we can quantify. But what's difficult to quantify, but is easy to witness, is the software. So it's hard for me to measure the software that's built into my computer. It's hard for me to measure the software that's built into the reishi. We don't have the tools to do that, but we do have a capability of witnessing the impact of the software on an organism. So I can witness how that software works by using my computer and how easy it is to use. That's driven by the software itself. So we see tremendous changes in individuals in an extremely short period of time because not only are they getting hardware components, which we talk about, but they're also getting this upgraded software, just like your phone. You know, I don't have to change the hardware on my phone to give it a major upgrade by updating the software, by making it work more effectively and more efficiently and removing, you know, junk code that's in there. So each and every day people are installing or having installed into them junk code from their environment, from watching the news, from people that are, you know, negative in their lives, from circumstances that they might be encountering at work or a lack of appreciation. So there's all this junk code that's going into us. And reishi is putting good code back into us. So it's difficult to quantify, it's difficult to measure. You're not going to see a research article that's published on it because we don't have the tools to measure it, but we can witness it. So we can't measure it, but we can witness it. And that's what we're seeing in people when they're amazing you know, transformations take place. You know, my mom, for example, had chronic shoulder pain, and in 3 days it went away. I don't have a hardware explanation for that, but I do know that when we put the Ganoderma into her body, the software upgrade changed the way her nervous system worked, changed the way her inflammatory system worked, And guess what? She's feeling dramatically better. There was a story that we shared from one of my colleagues who, is a trained functional medicine practitioner. And, in 4 days, he gave his son 4 servings of hot chocolate. His son had a chronic stutter, a debilitating stutter where he couldn't even time his breathing and his speaking correctly. So you can only imagine that they've spent a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of energy, probably a lot of sleepless nights wondering, how are we going to address this? How are we going to fix this? And so after giving him 4 cups of the hot chocolate, the stutter completely went away. And this was about 6 weeks ago now. So again, there's no amount of vitamins or minerals I can give somebody to fix that. It's not a hardware problem. It's a software problem. And even the world's leading mycologist, Paul Stamets, he had an amazing story, except his story was with another mushroom called psilocybin mushrooms, and he took a mega dose of it. So we're talking, a small dose of reishi mushroom, 4 servings, and literally 6 Canadian dollars, which is like 50 US cents, right, to fix this problem. And it was phenomenal. So we see this over and over and over again. And like I said, this is almost like a magic elixir that we're giving to people, and we're just constantly witnessing amazing transformations taking place in them.
You have such a great way of honoring the intelligence of nature, the grand design, whatever anybody wants to say on that. And, I've heard a few people use terminology like the fingerprint of God, and I hope that doesn't offend anybody, but can you just talk through this diagram and maybe show how the wisdom of nature is blended into exactly what we're dodoing?
Yeah, so this is a branching architecture pattern, which you will witness at every single scale in the cosmos. So just to give you perspective, I'll go backwards. So I'll start at number 6. What you see at the bottom there is the most accurate picture that we have of all the dark matter in the universe. So if I were to step all the way to the edge of the universe and look at all the dark matter, then this is what it would look like. If I look at social networks, which is in image number 5, that's what we see. We see a similar branching pattern. If I look at image number 4, these are tree roots. We see, again, a branching architecture. Number 3, we see plant roots. Number 2 is our beloved mycelium, which is a root network and the original internet of the earth, if you will. And again, a branching architecture. And then we also see image number 1, which is kind of a depiction of what neurons in the brain look like and how they connect with each other. What's significant about this, and this is where the software aspect comes in, is that if I were to ask you what the surface area is of this particular structure, the answer is actually infinity. So if I were to zoom in continuously, these are called fractal zooms. If I were to continuously zoom in on this pattern would keep replicating itself even to the smallest atomic scale. So what we end up with is with infinite surface area. And for those of you that are on the tech side of things, as we increase surface area, we increase the ability to store data. So software, infinite amounts of data can be stored on infinite amounts of surface area. So there's just an astounding amount of information that can be stored in this type of branching architecture. And that's why the universe uses this pattern. That's why we see this pattern woven into our bodies as well. If you look at how our lungs bifurcate, if you look at how our nervous system bifurcates, if you look at how our arteries split and branch off, you're going to see this pattern in every part of your body because you are part of the same architecture. You were built by the same hand, if so to speak. That's what they say in the Quran. And as you mentioned, Bob, this is the fingerprint of God or a higher creator. And there's a reason that this architecture is used because of its ability to have infinite information stored into it.
So we're not going to talk too much about the business model, but understand the product we use, I'm going to say, has the fingerprint of God. The business model has that same fingerprint of God. And looking at that software update, I want to just give a couple of examples. That might be a little small picture for some of you, but that was a 1-week difference on a child that had some pretty significant dysgraphia and dyslexia. And we've had another case like that just this last week. And this is a case in South Africa where, again, this was a child, so it was hot chocolate, but it was, I think, 6 hot chocolates later. And we just look at that skin, and I was having a real hard time figuring out, okay, listen, I know that this is good for detox. I know it neutralizes things. I know it controls the inflammatory process. I know it alkalizes. But I couldn't wrap my head around how this result could happen that fast until you had that pretty amazing metaphor, which is accurate, of the software update. So when we talk to, I don't really care who we talk to, but especially practitioners, their number one concern is, listen, I don't have time. I'm already strapped. So what's your comment on that?
Well, a couple things. One, your patient, if you don't have time, your patients don't have time. And certainly they don't have time to be sick and they don't have time to be unwell. So if you're concerned about time, you should also be concerned about other people's time. And so if I can get people faster, if I can get people better faster, then I can honor other people's time, right? And I can honor my own time. I can help people move the needle much quicker. You know, if I can reduce my care plan from 12 visits, to see results to 3 visits to see results, because that's why we're all in this. If you're in the healthcare industry, you took an oath to get the patient better, faster, and more naturally. And I can't see a tool that does that. So this honors your time. This honors the patient's time. And guess what? A patient that gets better faster is also going to refer way more people to you. So one way you can save time is by doing things that are highly, highly effective. You can do things that produce results very, very quickly. And guess what? It's going to save you time because you're not going to have to spend all your time marketing. Your patients who are getting amazing results are going to do it for you.
On that same note of time, you mentioned that you've built a number of businesses. I have myself. This one is easily the fastest business that I've had that's created over $1 million in profit with the least, not just amount of time span, but literally time investment. What's been your experience with this?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's been extremely fast, right? And part of it is because I'm a shareaholic. I just love sharing. I love sharing my experience. I love sharing an opportunity. I love sharing things that work. And, when you're an influencer like you and I are, people pay attention to what we're doing. And we're essentially using this product to level the playing field. Anyone who wants to heal can heal. Anyone who wants to grow a business can grow a business. Anyone who wants support can get the support that they need. So it's just been a beautiful thing. And what I also love about this, Dr. Bob, is the ability, I just love how this industry works, where the only way we can grow is by helping other people grow. I mean, to me, that's just a beautiful way of living your life. Your success is measured by how many other people you help. You can make as much or as little impact as you want, which means you can make as much or as little income as you want. It's truly a reciprocal business. You get out of it what you put into it. I know so many people that, they put their heart and soul into their job and their paycheck stays the same. They might work twice as hard this week than they did last week, and their paycheck doesn't reflect that. So this is one of those businesses where your effort is duly noted and reflected. And not only that, but it's reciprocated and rewarded by your upline, by the rest of the people on your team. And, for someone like myself, and maybe I can speak for you as well, who loves helping other people, we just get such joy out of watching other people grow. And, I'm in the business, where you and I are in a business where we're highly specialized, and it's difficult for us to impart, all of our knowledge onto other people in a very, scalable and time efficient way. But if we can introduce a product that basically does all that work for us, I mean, amazing things can start to happen. So this is the fastest business I've ever grown. And I look forward to the continued growth. And, that growth comes from sharing. So I look forward to growing my business by helping other people grow theirs. And not only do I look forward to growing their businesses, but I talked about this yesterday at the meeting, is that in order for your business to grow, you have to grow. And so this is a personal growth and development intensive business, which is great because here's what happens. When you grow as an individual, it's not just your business that's going to grow. It's not just your bank account that's going to grow. Your relationships are going to grow. Your impact is going to grow. Your influence is going to grow. Your contribution back to society is going to grow. So every element of your life grows when you grow as an individual. So this business is just an extension of who you are and who you become in the process.
I really like what you said about the scalability, and you've already hit that point where I guarantee you that there are people benefiting every single day that you never would have met. Mm-hmm. And we've got teams now, 12,000 around the world with only maybe about 5% centered around Southeast Texas. So, I'll talk a year ago, we had a major hurricane that shut things down for a few weeks. But guess what? People all over the world were still drinking coffee. So there's leverage, there's impact, there's scalability, there's duplication. And there's a lot of stability in that. So the next question I want to ask is, there's a number, especially of practitioners, that are concerned that some of the products have sugar. So what would you say to someone that says, you know what, I don't want to share a hot chocolate that's got sugar in it?
Yeah, let me just go back and I'll tie this into a point, helping people that we may not know. And that's great that we can help people that we may not ever meet and may not ever know, and they're all the way across the world. But here's what's important to me: helping people that I do know, helping people that I do see on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis, the people that I love and care about. And as a healthcare provider, I know I can attest to this, that it's very difficult to get the people that we love and care about to listen to what we have to say. And Dr. Bob, you're a world-renowned clinician and mentor and educator. And I'm sure you've come across, maybe you're better at this than I am, but I've come across personally people that I know I can help, but I didn't have a tool that I could help them with. I knew that I was looking for this my entire life, because to me, the most important thing is helping the people that I know, love, and care about, because I don't want to watch people around me grow old and decrepit and suffer if there's something that I can do to help them. So my entire life, as a clinician, I've struggled with that. And I've struggled to help people that I love and care about. And what's been really fascinating about that is that it brings me to this point here, because had I not given certain individuals in my life products that were comparable or much better than what they were currently drinking, I would have never changed their life. So my sister-in-law, for example, we've been trying to help her, like just giving her health tidbits and things like that. And it wasn't until she drank a mocha, and here's what's interesting. Here's an interesting software upgrade and transformation that we noticed in her. She came to our house for a Christmas party. We served her a mocha. And that, again, I can put my purist hat on, and there's products for the purists in this product line, or I could meet people where they are and then gently nudge them in the right direction. So we gave her a mocha because that was comparable to what she loves drinking. We gave her the mocha, she enjoyed it, she bought a box of it, okay? After buying that box of it, she started drinking it. She came back a week later, bought 6 more boxes of it, okay? People don't buy 6 boxes of something that they don't like or something that doesn't make them feel better. Last week, we went to her house, and now all of a sudden, she's actually coming to us and asking us for help. How do I become a patient at your office? How do I undergo a weight loss program? Because she's been trying to lose weight and she's got some thyroid challenges. So whatever happened, okay, it took me 5 years, or actually I've known her for 10 years, but it took me 10 years to be able to help her, and one mocha changed her life, okay? And now she's feeling better, and whatever software upgrade she got changed her consciousness to have the ability to ask us to actually help her. So we had almost, I wouldn't say we've written her off, we don't write people off, but we had kind of given up on, you don't want to force people to do something. You don't want to push your agenda onto other people. So that was an amazing transformation for her, right? And now here's the thing, you meet people where they are, and as long as you're doing something for them that's better than what they're currently doing, then you're moving them in the right direction. And then if you can elevate their consciousness, if you can get them feeling better, because here's the thing, sick people make sick decisions. Healthy people make healthy decisions. So if I can move her health in the right direction, get her brain working to the point where she's now asking for help because she feels an improvement, and now she's going to listen to us because she's like, wow, all I had to do was change my mocha and I'm feeling better. Imagine I work with them for the next 6 months. What's that going to do for me, right? So it opened up that entire conversation for us to now totally transform her life. And maybe down the road, we get her off of some of these sugary products and transition her to a black coffee, or to a green tea, or to a red tea, or something that meets our functional medicine or chiropractic or nutritional guidelines. So as long as what you're doing is moving people in the right direction, then that's all that matters. Now, my mom, for example, had chronic shoulder pain, and as a chiropractor, it breaks my heart to know that I've tried everything to help my mom, and then it kind of breaks my heart to know that the solution was there all along. I just wasn't making it available to her. So she came over, tried a latte, loved the taste. I said, okay, Mom, if you like this, I know it's good for you. Keep drinking it. 3 days later, her shoulder pain completely disappeared. So who am I to hold that against her? Who am I to not share that with her because of a few ingredients? There's an interesting story Bob and I were talking about, and I don't know the full story, but I found it kind of funny, and it's kind of ironic because There's a gentleman who literally could not read. And so not being able to read actually may have saved his son's life, because if he had read maybe some of the ingredients and passed judgment on the ingredients, he wouldn't have given those products to his son. His son had kidney failure. And as a result of drinking the hot chocolate, it reversed his kidney failure. So think about that for a moment, right? The only limitation this product has is the limitations that we put on it. Now, if you're a purist, like I used to be, so I'm not so much of a purist anymore because my paradigms were shattered with this product line, then there are products for people who are purists. Like the DX is an excellent product. We've gotten great testimonials from it, from people having more regular bowel movements, better elimination. That product has stevia in it, so it doesn't have any artificial sweeteners. We've got the King coffee, which is the king of all coffees that I've ever seen out there. So that's a clean, organic product that checks off all of the guidelines that a functional medicine practice would have. We've got the black coffee, which is, again, a really clean product. We've got the spores. We've got the mycelium, which no other company really sells. And we've also got the lucidum. So there's some clean products in here, but keep in mind that you don't get to become a billion-dollar company by selling products that people don't want, or by selling products that people don't repeatedly order, or by selling products that don't make a difference in people's lives. So clearly, next time any one of us builds a billion-dollar company, maybe we can report back and see what that process looks like. But I know that your products have to work, they have to taste good, and they have to make an impact in order for your business to scale. So there's something in this product line for everybody. So if your person is standing in line, if your patients are standing in line at Starbucks ordering a Frappuccino, then you have an obligation to get them to drink a latte or a mocha or a hot chocolate, because that's 1,000,000 times better. Remember, it's the software that's in there that's magical. Don't focus on the hardware. Don't be fooled by the hardware. Don't be fooled by the ingredients, because remember, you can measure ingredients, but you can't measure the software. And that's where all the magic takes place. And so we need a delivery system that gets this product into people's body in a way that actually tastes good. Now, I'm not here to throw any of our competitors or cooperators under the bus, but if you're sitting on the fence and you're wondering about these products, I encourage you to go and buy another product, like a mushroom hot chocolate from Whole Foods, and you tell me, you do a taste test with your own children, you do it with yourself, and tell me which one are people gonna drink, right? You know, there's a big fad with mushroom beverages that's going on right now. Organo's been around long before that fad started, and there's a big fad that's going on right now, and guess what? People are trying it, but they're not buying it. Okay, and if they are buying it, guess what? It's sitting on their shelf. I just had somebody tell me this morning, they bought a whole box of hot cocoa thinking that this was, you know, a magical elixir for them. They tried one sachet, spit it out, and now they've got a $50 box that's sitting, on their shelf. That's not helping anybody, because the product only works if you use it, right? The software only gets integrated if we can deliver it into the human body. So that's why the products have to taste good. And so we have to match the palate of where people are. If we create a product that only appeals to 1% of the population, good luck starting a business that way. Good luck getting your business off the ground. Good luck getting reorders. So the business is designed for us to have products that meet the needs of the consumer, but every single product moves the consumer in the direction that we want them to. So, that's what I would say to you healthcare providers. I had to take off my purist hat, because as a purist, I can only help a very small percentage of people. And my mission this year is to help thousands or millions of people. And so I know that I have to meet them where they're at. And then I can move them on this, I can move them on the other side of the spectrum where I want them.
To piggyback on that a little bit, this is really a gateway, as you said, to better health. People start sleeping better. Some of their aches and pains are gone. Their energy efficiency is better. Their elimination is better. Suddenly they have more energy to, maybe take a walk. They're getting along better with their partner or significant other. There's so many different ways that this can start moving forward. But being a hard science guy, I also would have my patients do, and I still do, before and afters. We get a fasting blood sugar. We have them drink a mocha or a hot chocolate or a latte, whatever they want. And then 45 minutes later, we're testing the sugar again. And what I'll tell you is that even for my people with insulin resistance, they're having a better response to these products than they would a low glycemic index meal like broccoli and chicken. But you had one of the best examples ever when we did a seminar together in Toronto. you put a continuous blood glucose monitor on a guy there and gave him a mocha. And maybe just for everybody watching, what happened?
Nothing. That was the beauty of it. Nothing happened, right? And so if you look at our latte and you compare it to a Starbucks latte, the latte that we have is about 10 or 11 grams of sugar in it. Okay, 9 of those are added, so 2 of them are naturally occurring. If you look at a Starbucks latte, it's got 31 grams of sugar. So you tell me which one is better for people. And if you know people are drinking that, especially if you're a healthcare provider and that's what people are drinking, they're basically uncoiling everything that you're doing in your office. They're unraveling everything that you're doing. So they're basically paying you hundreds of dollars for treatment, but then they're going and having a drink that's toxifying their body, sending their blood sugar through the roof, creating massive amounts of inflammation and undoing the things that you're doing for them. I had a friend of mine, I don't know if you have this testimonial, Bob, but he was, a good friend of mine. We grew up together and he was seeing a chiropractor. He was seeing a chiropractor, acupuncturist, one of my chiropractic college roommates. So I know he was getting excellent care. And this chiropractor actually works for the Cleveland Clinic. So we're not talking about, just a hack. We're talking about a highly skilled practitioner that he was seeing for his shoulder pain. And so he came to my house, he came for a meeting, and we gave him a King coffee. He had King coffee on Sunday, a King coffee on Monday, and a King coffee on Tuesday. And he called me on Tuesday. I actually have the text message, and he's like, there's something in this because my shoulder pain is pretty much gone and I have full mobility in my shoulder. So imagine spending hundreds of dollars a week seeing one of the top clinicians in Toronto and not getting the results because your body is not modulating inflammation the way it's supposed to, not just locally, but also systemically. So his rotator cuff felt tremendously better because, again, we can focus on the hardware, we can do the treatments, we can do the chiropractic work or the musculoskeletal work, the massage work, but if the software isn't working, nothing's going to get better. And then to top that off, he gave it to his sales guy, and his sales guy loved it. He said, this is 1,000 times smoother than, I blocked the name out there, but it's a famous, chain of coffee shops here in Canada. And he also commented back and said, yeah, it's also 1,000 times better for you. So now I've got my friends who really know, like, and trust me. They're experiencing benefits, and now they're sharing these benefits with other people. And in my functional medicine practice, I couldn't imagine that story or that scenario occurring with any of the products we carry on our shelves. But also, now we're helping people, 2, 3, 4, rows deep, right? Like there's all these degrees of separation of people who are being impacted. And one of the things that I read about in a book called The Go Giver is the amount of money you make is directly correlated to the number of people that you help and the impact that you have on the planet. So, think about it this way. I'm having a big impact, not only on my friend's life, but on his friend's life because he's going to upgrade his cup. So now my impact is increasing exponentially, on a fractal level, on a branching level, if you will, because he's going to probably go and share it with a whole bunch of other people as well. So as our impact increases, our income increases. And I love being able to help people that never step foot in my office. To me, that's the real magic.
Well, just piggyback on that for a moment. When we were saying nothing happened with that mocha, meaning the blood sugar didn't even go up a single point. It was a 0 rise over the course of 2 hours, which is really awesome. So the next question that comes to mind is, you are an influencer and you've spent a lot of time building your influence, but what about someone who's just getting started, doesn't have that influence yet? What advice do you have for them?
So here's the thing. So my influence, to a certain degree, actually slowed me down. Okay. Because I was so afraid, just like many of you are, what will people think? Right. So when you spend 7 years building a multi-million-dollar brand, you don't take these things lightly. So in fact, Bob had approached me about this, almost 2 years ago now. If we go back to the dates, I'll have to look at the actual dates, but almost 2 years ago. And so my influence, because I do have an impact on a lot of people, there's a lot of eyeballs watching what we do, that actually held me back. So somebody who didn't have that influence could actually move a lot faster because we don't have these psychological blocks that are potentially holding us back. So, don't think that you have to have this massive network. Certainly it helps, because once it clicks for you, then you can explain it in a way so it could click for other people. But if you don't have the networks that I have, or maybe Dr. Bob has, here's the thing, just start sharing. Because here's the thing with this business, it's not just about you, it's about the people around you as well. You might meet someone like Diane met me, right? And she's leveraging my network now, right? And I'm totally fine with that, because she's going to help me grow and I'm going to help her grow. So find other people who are influencers, right? Maybe if you're a clinician who has influence, guess what? You have influence over your patients. You might go to church and you might approach somebody who has influence over the people at your church. You might work at a factory, and you might be able to share this product with the person who has the influence over other people. So find other influencers if you're not an influencer, and be of value to them. And guess what? They're going to reciprocate that back to you. So it doesn't have to be you. It could be who you find and who you bring into this organization. And there could be a major influencer just 2 degrees of separation away from you. So don't ever judge anyone, and just go out there and share this product with as many people as possible. And, and let the universe sort it all out. As long as you're sharing with a positive intention, with a pure intention to serve and help people, everything's going to work out just fine for you.
I don't know that I could summarize that any better than that. As long as the intention is good, if you have that servant mentality. I like that you recommended the book, The Go-Giver, right? The 5 laws of stratospheric success. And it all is basically, one of the laws is the law of influence, that says your influence will be directly related to how effectively you put other people's needs above your own. Mm-hmm. And that's really, I think, a good note to wrap up on. We have something that we had a conversation before this, and you said, you know what, the product sells itself. Past the first cup, that's true. But we've got to have enough of a connection with that person to get that first cup. And what I have done nicely is I'll tell people, I've taken a number of trips all over the world, as you have. I sit on a plane there, and every time I'm on my plane, I've got, medical foods and supplements. No one's ever asked me for any medical food or supplement, but I've had plenty of people ask me for cups of coffee, and I've shared every time, and I've even signed up business partners that way. But I think the real answer is create a relationship, add value, be more interested in the person than anything else, and then realize that you have possibly the greatest gift that nature's created in the most reproducible and widespread delivery system. So any words of wisdom to wrap up on that?
Well, I think that's, what you said, and I've learned so much from you, Dr. Bob, and it's so great to be able to learn from each other and reciprocate our knowledge and our passion for this. If you're a practitioner and you're watching this, then I believe that this isn't just a business opportunity, but it's truly a responsibility, right? You have a responsibility to your patients to do what's best for them. And, I know that's why you started a practice. I know that's why you're in business. And I see an amazing opportunity to help people get faster, to help them get better, to help them improve their spiritual potency. I mean, that's what this mushroom does, to help them, deepen their relationship and connection with nature. I haven't seen anything quite like this. And that's why I get so excited. And, I don't get excited about too many things, but this is just, whatever this mushroom has done to me, it's made me super excited and super thrilled to share this with as many people as possible. And I feel like if you're a natural holistic healer, this truly is an obligation. I mean, if your patients are drinking coffee, you have an obligation to change the coffee they're drinking, because chances are the coffee they're drinking is bad for them. It's probably bad for the environment because it's loaded with pesticides, and it's probably also bad for your practice because it's hindering their results, because it's creating massive amounts of inflammation. So if you care about your practice and you care about your patients, then this is an easy tool. And I say, just try it out. Just give them 5 packets and see what happens, right? And if they get better, you're gonna create a potential residual income for yourself, and you're gonna help these people in a very profound way, in a way that you could never help them, because you're helping them from a hardware perspective. This is a software and hardware perspective, and you're gonna give them a major upgrade.
I'm going to finish with one comment. We share it with patients every single day. Everybody that walks in, we offer them a cup of coffee or tea. We make it as they like it. I always ask them strong, mild, or in between, because if someone likes espresso strength coffee and you make them a weak cup, they're not going to enjoy it. It took me more than a year of sharing with patients before I finally would give them an opportunity. I'd let them know, listen, you can be a retail customer. We're happy to sell it to you. You can be a wholesale buyer. You can get my cost, or you could actually get paid to consumer share the product. And the picture that I show here is kind of fun if you can see those legs. But I'll go back 7 years ago, a gentleman named Pete Cohen came into my office, and his wife had a non-operable brain tumor and was basically given a death sentence. She came over from London to see a guy named Stanislaw Brzezinski. He did her alternative medical care. I did her diet nutrition program. She completely beat her cancer. You know, they got married on her 30th birthday. She's cancer-free still 6 years later. But they fell in love with the coffee. But Pete connected me to a woman named Rose Kahn who had breast cancer. And he said, Bob, can you help Rose? I said, I'd be happy to. She was in South Africa. She needed some Ganoderma. She got the Ganoderma. She beat her breast cancer. She said, Bob, how did the people of South Africa get this? I said, Rose, you have to create a market. Well, she started sharing and create enough business that it made sense for Organo to open South Africa. And this picture is a girl from South Africa. And if you look at the name, if I can maybe make it clear, his name is Zafna Siri Khan. It's her son that actually introduced this little girl. And so you go back, and I'm pretty confident we did a lot of things right with Hannah for her to beat her brain cancer. But knowing what I know now, we haven't lost a cancer patient in the last 6 years since we've used Ganoderma. Now, I'm not saying it's a magic cure, but it's powerful when everything else is done right. And I think Hannah's here, and I think Rose is here, and I think this little girl's life is better, and I think a lot of people are getting better in South Africa. And literally, it's all because I, at that point in time, was able to get out of my way and share it with full knowledge and conviction. And like you, the fact that I was an influencer took me a long time to get out of my own way, a long time to share it, a long time especially to share the business opportunity. But we have the same spirit. Now that we know it's good, we have a moral obligation to share it. I've been looking at the chat bar. People have been nicely engaged just for recording length. I think I'm going to shut the recording down, but I will ask if anybody has any questions at all that they want to ask. Anything at all, and we'll stop the